My name is Margaret Windsor, and I'm trying to do another video. I've done quite a few in the past months, YouTube, and I'm on Facebook. I've told about my kidnapping, which I learned about, and I didn't find out about it until 1983, really, the fall of '83. My name is Margaret Windsor, and I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, and my uncle George kidnapped me, and became the illegal monarch. My father is King Edward VIII, who was not married to Wallis Simpson. The whole thing was a lie. Wallis Simpson married an imposter, a double, and they became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. My father had married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, who was Irish-American Catholic and considered a commoner. And I want to add this, not by the British people. Some of my family didn't like it in the New World Order, quite frankly. The Freemasons, whatever you want to call them, Trilateral, Illuminati, New World Order. Elizabeth and Charles are members of that, along with Clinton, who helped give away, made choices that I wasn't allowed to make. Let me say this about Northern Ireland. My father was illegally taken down, and I may sound like I'm rambling here, so let me try to get to the point. It's encompassed my life. My father did not give up his crown at all. It was stolen from him by his brother, like I say, in the New World Order. So Elizabeth and her brood are illegal too. My father was married, so you can see why the 99-year seal was put on it, to cover up my birth and that I'm the legal heir of Victoria II. And the horrendous lies and takedown of my father by his own brother helped. In my kidnapping, he helped the Kennedys, Joe Kennedy was ambassador to England 36 to 46 when they kicked him out. And Elizabeth's father signed, he was illegal, it was like an interim government, and he ended up controlling it and stealing the crown by proxy, whatever you want to call, but it was illegal, and I am the legal heir. So it's my signature they need to sign papers or anything. My uncle signed for the U.S. government to put military bases all over everything British, which is all illegal, but they've done it and used it as a launching pad to control the world and take everything British from us. Meanwhile, I'm a hostage. I'm 75 years old. I'm still a hostage. I was put in Moulton, Alabama, given the names of a twin, and both twins were dead, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and I married a Childers. Carl and Peggy were dead, killed by their mother, Lina, and she would have forced faced the gas chamber had this ever been told to the world, and also it would have brought about information on my kidnapping. Now, Peggy and Carl were kidnapped, excuse me, I may have to do this one over, were killed by their mother. Peggy was fed to the pigs, and that's the name that I grew up using, and Carl was killed about a month after he was born. They even had different birth dates, and I have to use birth certificate of Peggy. Still, in this country, they claim as land of the free and home of the brave, and you have civil rights. I've had none. I can't even say my real name or use it. So that's the name I still have to use. Now, I'm going to show some videos, some pictures, briefly, of my father and my uncle with Roosevelt in '39, the year I was born, and they were planning my kidnapping. I want to put this in here. I wrote a book back in '77 and '78 about mind control and what you could do with it. I had worked for doctors, and it was called MD, A License to Kill, which I was never able to get published. I had antifreeze put in me April the 1st of '80. An American joke. After all, they'd kidnapped the monarch, taken down my father, and put their bases all over everything British, so it was quite a joke to put antifreeze in me on top of everything else they'd done to me. And yes, I hope that is all told and spread before the world, so they have to see the ugly truth once and for all. But I wanted to say this too, and if it's rambling, I'm sorry. Um, North Korean leader Kim, and I hope he doesn't mind me using his first name. I don't mean in disrespect like they did in this country when they can't afford me mine, and anyway, they use psychological and chemical and still are on me. I want to refer to some comments that were made in an interview, and I'm not sure this morning. This is Sunday the 15th of 2013, obviously. But what was said in the interviews, ABC on their morning show, or NBC, I don't know at the moment, but they were interviewing Secretary of State Kerry, and they asked him questions about Kim, the North Korean leader. And his response, and this is bantered back and forth, so I don't want to make a mistake. Oh, God help me if I made a mistake. But they referred to him as he was a traitor. His uncle was executed, okay? So they're referring also to that. But they were calling him incompetent and inexperienced, and they they bannered around some really, a traitor, for God's sake. Here's where I want to bring this in. And they quoted, where no uncle is safe, referring to Kim and his uncle being executed. How dare these people who are sitting there in Washington, D.C., who are part of the New World Order, and if they don't know about my kidnapping, and they do, believe me, and who I am, something would be bad wrong. So you better check out your leaders, America. But they know. How dare them to make that comment to Kim, North Korean leader, when they installed my uncle George VI illegally, took out my father, kidnapped me, the real monarch, Victoria II, brought me to Moulton, Alabama, used me as a hostage, and a hostage is not just money, it's treaties, it's involves a lot of different ways that you get money. Anyway, a hostage I still am. I can't go home. They've never stopped using chemical and psychological warfare on me, and I don't even know where my sons Mark and Scott are, who are the legal heirs after me. That being said, I thought that the audacity, where no uncle is safe, referring to Kim in North Korea. They weren't referring to the monarch George VI illegal and Elizabeth they installed that took down his own brother and the real queen, me. My God, he's my uncle George VI, I hate to say it, and brought me over to this country, and you talk about where no uncle is safe. It's kind of, unreal. I have faxed over the years since I did the book. I've faxed, and when I had no money, I've really been shut down and terrorized and everything all my life. But I wrote about mind control murders, and they didn't just stop when I did the book, and I had a letter from the U.S. Attorney, the FBI really, but it was U.S. Attorney Harper, June the 23rd of 79, and I had the antifreeze put in me April the 1st of 80. There were mind control murders done in patterns, and they never stopped. And the only thing I want to say on this is I'm hoping before I die that this is told, and there's some justice afforded me, because as it stands now, the people involved, part of them are dead, for goodness sakes, but they enjoyed life. They tortured me. They benefited. Look at Elizabeth real quick, the hat she's wearing. Am I allowed to say this on here? I have 2 pair of panties I've washed out for the last year and a half. Okay? You get the point. So now I want to say that I want to add this to, I bet this didn't come out either, that you can hear it. I want to add this to the mind control murders. I've told about the Wayne Williams way back then, but uh, about the Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes, and the Tucson, Arizona, where her husband, Gifford's husband, was an astronaut, and this does fit in the patterns. You can't tell it. You got to have a database. But his name was Mark, and his twin brother's name was Scott, and they're both astronauts. And she ran in, well, she was a U.S. Congresswoman, and I ran in the campaign in '83 to replace Larry McDonald, a doctor congressman that I'd written about. And his plane goes down, and I become a candidate. So I've written about some of the mind control murders, either mass or it can be done one or two, but they were done in patterns, because mind control is not visible, so it's hard to prove. So I wanted to add this one because the Murphy has something to do with it. So I wanted to add this one. Yesterday, well, the day before yesterday, in Centennial, Colorado, where the young man Carl, he spelled his like the twin that Peggy and Carl, but they spelled his name with a K-A-R-L. In Pearson, his name was Carl Pearson, the student that ended up shooting himself and was supposed to have gone after Coach Carl Murphy. And the motive in it was the name that fits into the pattern. And he was meant to turn around and shoot himself, okay? That's the synchronicity in it. But Pearson was, in that, the April Fool of 80, she's the one, Lois Pearson in Marietta, Georgia, that helped put the antifreeze in me. And I went for a top screen that was never done. I was tossed around and tortured, my brain baked. Ended up working for the district attorney in Huntsville. It was hideous, and I think this tape is not even recording. Let me see.